My wife said we need to be equal and turned our marriage into a feminist chore chart, so I followed every rule and her system fell apart on her. My wife, Chloe, blindsided me the second I walked through the door. I'd just returned from 3 weeks away, expecting a hug, maybe some takeout, but instead, she handed me a 3-page manifesto that threatened to tear our marriage apart. I still had my jacket on, my suitcase half dropped, as I watched her. The air in our hallway felt thick with unspoken words, a tension I hadn't felt in our home in years. I thought she was joking, but the cold, hard look in her eyes told me this was deadly serious. It was the longest we'd been apart since our wedding 2 years ago, and I was bracing myself for a warm welcome, not a full-blown ideological document titled something like Restructuring Our Marriage, a Framework for Equality. She didn't even let me put my suitcase down before she started talking about patriarchal patterns and emotional labor distribution. Words that sounded like they came straight out of a college textbook, not from the woman who used to laugh at my dumb jokes and steal fries off my plate. Something had shifted while I was gone. Something big. As I stood there, jacket still on, I realized the marriage I'd left 3 weeks ago might not be the one I just came back to. She told me to sit down at the kitchen table, her voice steady and rehearsed, like she'd practiced this speech a dozen times in the mirror. Her laptop was already open, filled with what looked like spreadsheets and color-coded charts. Chloe had always been organized, sure, but this was different. This felt systematic, clinical, like she was presenting a business proposal instead of talking to her husband. She explained that during my absence, she'd attended a feminist workshop Jessica, a coworker, had recommended, an intensive weekend seminar that apparently completely rewired how she viewed our relationship. According to her, our entire marriage had been built on invisible labor I never acknowledged, privileges I never questioned, and traditional gender roles she was no longer willing to accept. The document in my hands was divided into 3 main sections, each more detailed than the last. I could tell she'd spent hours putting this together. Section 1 was labeled Emotional Labor Redistribution, outlining how I was now responsible for remembering birthdays, planning social events, managing our calendar, sending thank you cards, checking in with family, and basically everything she claimed she'd been doing alone for 2 years. Section 2 covered household management equity with a point-based system for chores where everything from vacuuming to grocery shopping had an assigned value. We were supposed to split these points 50-50 every single week. Section 3 was the wildest one, something she called Deconstructing Masculine Defaults, which included guidelines on how I should communicate my feelings, rules about mansplaining and taking up space, and even suggestions for how I should sit during conversations to appear less domineering. I'm not going to lie, my first instinct was to laugh because this felt like something straight out of a satirical Reddit post. But she wasn't smiling. She was waiting for my response. Don't miss the twist bottom left, full story.